Okay, share.
I-remove ko na lang yung background.
Thank you, Ma'am Len.
I-remove ko na lang yung background ko, sir. Kasi hindi siya.
Kim? Kim?
Hello, sir.
Naka-live na tayo.
Yes,
Pwede
sir.
na kayong magkwentuhan bago yung
Okay.
batiin mo na yung mga
Hello, good afternoon
natin.
mga ka-Pix Bro.
Good afternoon, mga ka-KC. Ayan.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon sa'yo, Sir Ben.
Hello po, Sir Toby
Good
Tubianosa.
afternoon from Davao City. Kamusta kayo? Maulan ba sa inyo ngayon?
Oh, Sir Toby Tubianosa is from West Africa. Yes.
Hello, Sir Toby. Good afternoon.
Toby, sir.
Toby natin.
From South Africa.
Oh, si Toby ito eh.
Natin.
Di ba?
Hindi.
Toby Tubianosa. Alam ko si Toby. Yung pinito.
So today we will have a very interesting topic na mapapakinggan sa session today. Good afternoon to our team lead, Sir Justin Kyle. Hello po sa inyo. Good afternoon kay Attorney Syed Sharan. Greetings from Attorney Coach Syed Sharan Basid, Grievance Committee ng UCCW United Citizen Crime Watch Parañaque Chapter at blessed member ng Philippine Institute of Cybersecurity Professionals. Good afternoon po sa inyo. Kindly na lang share the link para marami pa tayong maging listeners for today's session.
Meron tayo ngayong bagong kasama, Sir Kim. Si Miss Colleen.
Yeah. Our business operating support.
Yes,
Yes.
hello mga ka-Pix Pro. Oo. Ako muna ang sasama ka sa tambalang Team Rel. Ako muna ang
Yeah.
magko-co-host. Yes.
Kasi currently, in transit pa. So, nandito si Miss Colleen ngayong hapon. Kasama natin.
Yes. So currently, our team is traveling around the whole Philippines, strengthening the cybersecurity posture ng customers natin.
Nakita ko si Miss Lea Manliguez ay nanonood. Isa sa ating mga GRC intern. Di ba, Sir Kim?
Yes. Hello, Miss Leia. Good afternoon. Sabi niya, go, Sir Mark. Yes. Our pioneer, very snappy team leader, Sir Mark Angkos. Shout out kay Miss Alina Morales, our GRC team lead. Good
Hello, Miss
afternoon
Ali.
po sa inyo.
Nakita ko nag-heart react si Clarence Lino. Grabe na itong mga intern natin. Very alive
Good afternoon kay Miss Jo. Kamusta ka, Miss Jo? Soon magkikita-kita din tayo. So now we have 38 na nanonood ngayon sa live natin. So kindly share lang para mas marami pa yung kapakinig sa very interesting discussion po natin ngayon. Good afternoon kay Sir Clarence Andre,
Hello,
ng
Miss
ating
Kirsch. Good
intern
afternoon.
from you.
Ayun.
Kamusta naman ang week natin, mga ka-Pix Pro? Lately, very random. Maulan yung weather. Maaraw, umuulan, rain or shine. Kaya ingat tayo mga ka-Pix Pro na wag mabasa ng ulan. Hello kay Sir Tito Aga ng Angeles. Good afternoon po. And also kay Sir Mike. Happy Friday, Pix Pro. Sir Alan, good afternoon din. Shoutout sa'yo. Good afternoon, Sir Michael Reyes.
So, ngayong hapon, no, wala tayong pag-games muna. 'Di ba last time, Sir Kim, nung nagpapa-games tayo, sabi ni Miss Ruby, kapag tayo yung makikita, for sure na merong games. Pero ngayon, iba yung atake natin. Tayo yung host and yung hatid natin
Yeah.
is hindi games, kundi knowledge na i-share mamaya ni Sir Mar.
Yes. So yung very interesting yung topic nyo, yung you can defend what you can see. No. Kasi when we talk about cybersecurity, most people think about hackers, mga malware scams, ransomware. But in actual practice, one of the biggest problems is very simple, that we cannot protect what we cannot see. Say later on, i-discuss ito ni Sir Mark.
Yes.
Kaya hope we all learn for the discussion today.
Yes. So, i-prepare niyo yung mga questions ninyo after mag-discuss, Mark. And make sure na makinig.
Ay, pa-introduce.
Guess? Start tayo, Sir Kim. Sir Mark, ready ka na po?
Introduce me.
Ready na on my end, Miss Trella.
All right. Okay, so before we begin, let's remember one simple truth to cybersecurity. You can't defend what you can see. Network security starts with visibility, knowing what is happening, who is connected, and where the risks are.
So to guide us through this practitioner's perspective, let us welcome our speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker for Kwentuang Cybersecurity. He is the team lead of Atrava Defense Architecture and Design under Angel T. Redoble and Associates, CISO as a Service, and the Northstar Cyber Management Incorporation. He is a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering, graduate from Carlos Salado Memorial State University, class of 2025. And he brings a wealth of cybersecurity expertise with the following certifications: Google Cybersecurity Foundations of Cybersecurity, Google Cybersecurity Play It Safe, 3-day Cyber Threat Intelligence Training, Resecurity Incorporation, Stellar Cyber Essentials Associate, Stellar Cyber SOC Analyst Associate, ESET Protect and ESET Inspect Technical Training, Governance, Risk Management, and Compliance Essentials Training under PixPro Certified Cybersecurity Professional Program, Certificate of Appreciation, Guest Lecturer, Cybersecurity and Information Protection Seminar, Philippine Air Force, Headquarters Air Force Safety Office, Air Defense Command, Fernando Air Base, Lipa City, Batangas. So professionally, he leads the planning, design, and alignment of cybersecurity architecture, ensuring secure infrastructure, network, firewall, endpoint, and SOC capabilities for both internal operations and client environments. He also has hands-on experience in 24/7 security operations, incident response, and technical deployment of security services. He has shared his expertise as a guest lecturer for the Philippine Air Force, contributing to seminars on cybersecurity and information protection. Now, please join me in welcoming Engineer Mark Joseph Angkos as he presents You Can't Defend What You Can See, a practitioner's take on network security.
Thank you for the very thoughtful and very detailed introduction, Ms. Colleen. Let me share my screen. Is it visible ba? Right. Our current topic would be is revolves around you can't defend what you don't see. This is a practitioner's take on network security and cybersecurity as a whole. So to break the ice or to initially start our discussion, so a simple who am I on your current on our discussion. So hi, my name is Mark Joseph Pilipari Angkos. So I am the current lead of the Atrava Defense Architecture and Design team lead in Angel Douglas and Associates. So I'm a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering, graduating at Carlos Hilado Memorial State University on 2025. I am 24 and I have various hobbies, and on the motto, which changes a lot, would be to stay curious, stay paranoid, and keep learning. So I have been in this field pretty early, and what I can say is that the scope of this career is very huge and very dynamic. So when we say dynamic, that is the technologies, the practices, and the standards are always going to be are always going to be changing. So it could be a year, a decade, or every month that standard or practices that will have to change in order to effectively practice our career, which is revolves around cybersecurity. So it was also said earlier in the introduction that I am handling the architecture and design in our company. So this revolves around designing and making sure that devices, network infrastructure, and also endpoints on clients or customers are safe, are protected and keep updated, and basically we improve their infrastructure for cybersecurity. So security is very implemented as the core. So our topics will revolve around who we are and the cybersecurity ecosystem. So we will delve on an initial identity of what cybersecurity really is and what are the branches that are under cybersecurity. Next is what are we protecting? So what are networks or client customers or basically infrastructures that you would have to go to ensure that you are protecting a client or customers, because it's not a linear or standard format on what you are basically protecting. Next is technologies that defend each layer. So these are the various technologies or standard technologies that are being implemented in each layer of cybersecurity. Next is what gets ignored, the awareness gap. So this topic will go through the usual trap, or just say when a usual hole that a practitioner might encounter, since in cybersecurity we cannot allow something to be left unnoticed. So the mindset of covering all footprints or covering all the infrastructure to the nitty-gritty detail is a very good practice, which is usually being ignored, and it is a common gap when it comes to delving or going into this career. So next is the practitioner mindset. So this is basically based on my experience on what a practitioner of cybersecurity really would need to take in order to successfully launch their career in cybersecurity. So these are proven experiences and points that one should take to consider and learn in order to be a practitioner and an effective one in cybersecurity. So with that in mind, let's start for our first topic. So this will be just a brief topic. We will go through all of this, and I will be explaining each and every, in the best I can. So the cybersecurity ecosystem. So this is knowing the battlefield is the first step to defending it. So cybersecurity is not a one-time career, or it's not a linear career. It is consists of multiple branches that all together revolves on the cybersecurity. So it's not a one-man show. It is not a single person carrying the whole cybersecurity practice. For an effective cybersecurity implementation or cybersecurity practice, it consists multiple branches with various focus on each part of an infrastructure, with the goal of securing those infrastructure or process and making sure that there is no attack vectors or no malicious attackers will go through. So these are the basic. I think everyone here is very familiar on these domains under cybersecurity. So there are we have offensive security. So this consists of the red team, the penetration testing, the vulnerability assessment, and this branch of cybersecurity basically thinks like the attacker and finds the door before they do. So this is the, I think, some would say gold mine when it comes to going into cybersecurity. Like, I want to be someone who can hack legally into a company. So all the offensive security revolves around is to make sure that vulnerabilities and open attack vectors are found before a legit attacker takes advantage of those attack vectors. So an example of this would be an exposed port of a server. So as a offensive security, one must audit either monthly or on a specific time frame on when would they offer offensive security, red team, and penetration testing, and consolidate a report so that those attack vectors will be covered or be patched by the defensive security or the one who is handling the infrastructure of the company. So next is the defensive security. This is the blue team. So this is the SOC, the threat intelligence, and the incident response. So the SIEM. So this is the opposite side of offensive security. So if offensive security is focused on attack vectors, finding malicious vulnerabilities, defensive security ensures that all traffic in all process are visible, and also malicious traffic or malicious requests are detected and initially patched or verified to the clients. So blue teams consist of security analysts. They are the SOC analysts, which are, in my experience, are 24/7 uh, 24/7 detection of all traffic going in and out of the infrastructure or a client. So, malicious login in the middle of the night that would trigger SOC analysts to make sure that if that traffic is legitimate or not. So next is network security. So this is where my job is revolves around, but we'll get to there later on the usual trap that a practitioner might encounter. So in network security, we are mostly handling firewalls, VPN, segmentation, and traffic analysis. So this is where it gets very hands-on, because you're not only making sure that the network is secure, but you're also designing, and also mandating what is allowed and what is blocked. So you control or you deploy firewalls, VPNs, and segmentation depending on the client's process and normal operations, and making sure that those processes are secured, and also those devices are deployed with utmost security. So it controls what moves, where it goes, and what gets blocked. So in network security, this is where someone would be deployed into network or a server room where they must audit each devices if they are secure or not, or also uh, doing request or RFP, request for approval network diagrams in order to improve a client or a specific infrastructure to be improved in terms of security. So next is identity and access. So this is the AAM, the MFA, the multi-factor access management, and privilege access and zero trust. So because the usual attack vector right now in cybersecurity is not on the network side. The usual is on the data that an attacker gets. So most of these fall around phishing emails, reconnaissance on employees of a certain company. So most breaches don't break in initially. They recon, and if identity and access is not properly configured in terms of security, those simple mishaps can cause a break-in, which is what we want to avoid as a cybersecurity practitioner. So next is application security. So these are the application security, the DevSecOps, the WAF, and the API security. So every app is a door. So not all of them are locked. So every deployed system that a company or a client is handling, there are certain applications or certain security that an application security practitioner will be handling that. So if a client or company hosts their own mobile application, this would trigger an application security in order to make sure that there are no vulnerabilities and no attack vectors present on the specific app. Next is governance, risk, and compliance, the GRC. So they are the risk management, the auditing, and data privacy. So they are the policy backbone. Since security on paper, it must exist in practice. So they are most in line on doing security policies to make sure that every branches in a cybersecurity practitioner are doing things legally and also up to code on the mandated laws. Next is cloud security. So this handles cloud posture, AAM, and misconfiguration management. So so instead that we are securing the network, we also have to secure their cloud security. So we are gonna go through why these domains live under cybersecurity. So on the next, so what are we actually protecting? So to initialize this, networks are basically everywhere, and everywhere there's a network. So there is something that we are worth or something are worth protecting. So if anyone would say, I deployed my app in the cloud. So you say that it's in the cloud, but in actuality, it's just a server in another country or a country that is hosting that specific server. And we are just using the term cloud since it's not on the physical or within the premise of the application itself. So I have first experienced this on my first deployment initially, that networks are basically everywhere. So either on shops, cashiers, or in 7-Eleven, those systems that they are utilizing are basically network systems that are worth protecting. So you can imagine how huge the scope is when it comes to security. So even if it's a simple POS system, point of sale system in a 7-Eleven, they are systems that are worth protecting since they are critical and also they are the whole operation of the company itself or the 7-Eleven itself. So the everyday network. So these are just the rundown of how networks are around us. And also, I want you guys to know that there are networks in every corner of the world. Or basically, the internet is just basically a big physical network. We just say it's an internet, but it is just a compilation of physical devices in a grand level. So an example, the POS, the cashier at the grocery store. So these are terminal that is designed as a network system. So within that grocery store, as the POS or when you swipe the card or pay, and the data that they gathered is stored somewhere in the network. So this could be a file server or a system that is proprietary on that certain company. So it's a really huge uh, turning point when you realize that networks is basically everywhere, and networks are basically utilized in everyday operations of companies or in our daily lives. So an example would be the hospital admitting records. So patient data moving across systems in the hospital, the school managing student information, credential, grades, personal files. So before, we would get physical printed cards of our grades in a certain schools. But right now, schools are using their own web application or publicly accessible uh, websites to host, to show your grades or personal grades of students within that school. So I think everyone can know this naman kasi schools are utilizing networks also to move huge data and to transfer it to one thing to another, and also to improve the operation and efficiency of the operation. So the coffee shop Wi-Fi you just connected to, so it is shared with everyone in the room. So a simple coffee shop Wi-Fi, that in it itself is a network, since it's a device that communicates one thing to another. So it could be an wireless access point that you're connecting in a coffee shop, and that wireless access point is connected to a switch within that coffee shop. And also within that coffee shop, there could be possibly a firewall, there could be possibly servers. So I want to hand down that networks are everywhere, basically everywhere. I think I keep repeating this, but I want to point that out really well. So your company is reward worker at home. So even if it's a remote VPN or a secure remote access, so or a public accessible domain or publicly accessible website, those revolves around networks. So I want you guys to grasp that misconfigured or a misconfigured network is critical, even if it's a small network. Your home Wi-Fi, that in it itself is a network. So if credentials are the same, an example of a simple attack would be if your home router is using or is not configured for your own passwords. It's still configured by the internet service provider or ISP provider like Globe, Dito. It's still configured on default. So an attacker, suspectingly an unknown user, may able to connect to your Wi-Fi even if it's within the network. So or even if it's a home Wi-Fi, it's still critical since you're allowing an unknown person to connect to your into your home network, which is where he can be in a local environment where he can escalate or do reconnaissance or any no or any what God knows what we will do. So I want to push that through that networks are basically everywhere. So what we are protecting? So in cybersecurity, there are multiple processes, applications, traffic, or operations that we are trying to protect or what we are protecting. But these are just the example of the most crucial or critical ones that we want to protect. One is the network. So the network, so that's the where the road it's basically the roads data travels on. So if the network is compromised or network has been attacked, that could trigger a whole shutdown of the client or a whole store operation. So with that in mind, a store operation may lose millions in that brief downtime or brief attack within their networks. So next are endpoints. So every device is connected to it. So this could be laptops, personal computers, POS, or point of sale systems, or servers, and also uh, phones. So we are in a cybersecurity environment. One must consider protecting all of these operation in a client or company. So next is data. This is the crucial part. Identity. Sorry, my bad. But so who's allowed in, who isn't. So in a cybersecurity environment, one must or a practitioner you're the one handling securing a network of a client, one must handle the identity of who is allowed to go into that network or to use the operation or use the systems, and if sino yung hindi, who are not allowed to use this system, and also who is not allowed to access some systems or server infrastructures. Next is data. So what they're actually after. So when we say what they're actually after, this is the what attackers are after, because data is the very crucial or important. That's basically the gold mine that what the attackers want. That is the data. So data can go along with credentials, personal identity or information identity, applications, operational data, credit, cost, audits. So those are something that we want to protect if we are a cybersecurity practitioner. And also applications. So since we this depends on which client or what kind of operation that they run, but applications is also one of you are publicly allowing access or allowing to show it to the into the public. So one must close all the doors or to configure that there is no open ports or open attack vectors that a malicious threat attacker may utilize and escalate it further, which will in turn cause a company that is hosting the application or is owned by the owner by the application to lose millions. And also, as a cybersecurity practitioner, that is very, uh, you know, very crucial that you missed out on securing that company's applications. Since you are the one responsible on securing their operations, this is if one is or an escalated incident may arise, what a practitioner must know what caused it and what and how to alleviate it, and basically implement a solution for the vulnerability or attack vectors that is being exposed. So we move along into the technologies that defend each layer. So basically in how we defend each layer of operation, and basically these are the standards. Every network builds on these and adds more on top. So it depends on the network itself. One could be has a single firewall, one could have a web application firewall, but then in itself, a network builds on the standard uh, technologies in order to secure an infrastructure or network. So the firewall and perimeter. So the first gate. So I think everyone here is familiar of what a firewall does. It basically mandates what goes into the network and what goes out into the network. So you control what enters and leaves the network. The default deny, block everything unless it is within the operation or allowed, explicitly allowed or utilized by the operation. If no one is using port 22, which is SSH access in your network, so within itself, it's much better or it's a good practice to immediately close that open port since it's not being operationalized or utilized by within the operation. Next is inbound rules. So stop attackers getting in. So it's basically rules that we want to block or we want to block attackers from getting in. So an example of that would be to block malicious IPs that an attacker is utilizing, and also implementing inbound feeds or block feeds of known malicious IPs of attackers and also known malicious domains. So next is our outbound rules. Outbound rules, which is to stop data getting out. So if a server is only used locally, we would add a rule to block that server going out of our local network. Since it's not being operationalized to be publicly accessible, we would have to block that block that capability if it's not within the operation itself. So common tools would be the pfSense, the Cisco ASA, the Fortinet, and the TP-Link ER system, our series. So next is network segmentation. So don't let one breach become a full collapse. So with the word or the title itself, it's basically we segment or we group the network, or we divide the network into isolated zones. So an example of that would be a coffee shop. So let's say your coffee shop has a file server and also has guest or Wi-Fi. Uh, as the owner of the coffee shop, I want my customers to have Wi-Fi itself. So in order to isolate the servers, our file servers, or within our operation, we would segment the network for our operation and also for the Wi-Fi access of our customers. Because we don't want the customers to be able to access our network. So a network segmentation is required in that setting. So in that in mind, a compromised device from the customer won't be able to contaminate or to escalate into our operational network. So it's basically grouping who is allowed to access, and also we are also grouping what we want to be protected and not accessible. So guest, so a Wi-Fi guest would be our customers. So never reach corporate systems. So they are not able, or we remove the capability of them to be able to access our networks. So you won't be able to escalate or to further damage or contaminate networks. And servers never reach user devices unnecessarily. So if our servers is never meant to be accessible on a client or a guest or a user, we isolate their capability within the network itself. So simple scenario is the coffee shop. But if this is a corporate infrastructure, one must know how to basically segment large amount of operations in order to protect valuable and critical assets or data within that network. So, common tools would be VLANs, virtual LANs, the DMZ, the delimitarized zone, managed switches, which is basically layer 3 switches that sits within the IP addresses or within the network, and also pfSense VLAN tagging, or just the VLAN tagging in itself. So every firewall has tagging, network segmentation. These are basically practices that further ensures or further improves a security posture of an infrastructure or company. So next is secure remote access. So basically, who gets in, where and from, and through what. So when we say secure remote access, basically how we want our employees or our employees accessing our network remotely. So a company would be stationed within Manila, but then they would be our employee would be in Cebu. So as in a security standpoint, one must know how who is only allowed, and also where is only allowed and through what. So some of these would be VPNs, the open VPNs that is established by firewall. Basically, VPN is just a virtual private network that encrypts your traffic and tunnels it into a network or firewall, which is configured by a security engineer or a network engineer. Next, jump host or bastion. So it's a one controlled entry point that is fully logged. So basically, it depends on, it's a security checkpoint to see if that specific user is allowed to go in and what they can only access. So MFA, you would implement MFA and security remote access, multi-factor authentication. Stolen passwords alone is not enough. So a multi-factor authentication is a necessary best practice to implement. It basically secures that if ever an attacker gets your password, you would have a backup or a second line of defense in order for that attacker to not fully log in into your account or a network. So least privileges, so only access what you need, nothing more. So if employee accesses our server, we would only be allowing that specific server into that employee. So network segmentation falls into this particular capability itself on how we secure remote access on a network itself. Next is DNS security. So an attack vendor nobody talks about. So DNS is basically domain names that basically translates IP address into easily readable names. So these are the google.coms, everything like facebook.com, youtube.com. Behind those are just basically publicly accessible IP address by those company itself. So your phone use DNS. That could be 8.8.8, the standard DNS of Google, 1.1 for Cloudflare, and malware uses DNS to phone home to attackers, since this basically bridges the attackers by utilizing DNS. So DNS filtering blocks, basically you block malicious domains before a connection is made. So if malicious attacker is using domain google.com, so in a security standpoint, one must implement filtering in order to block or to only allow operationalized domains to be accessed by the company itself. So if a company is allowed to go into facebook.com, you would filter or you would only allow that Facebook or domains to be accessible by the DNS itself. So next, if it can't resolve, it can't connect. So common tools would be the PF Blocker NG, Pi-hole, Unbound, and also the Cloudflare Gateway. Okay, so anyways, yung next is yung visibility and monitoring. So you can't defend what you don't see. So this is basically revolves around SIEMs. So they are logging capabilities in order to see, and also they are endpoint advanced security in order to see operations, traffic going in and out of that specific device, and also application that is installed within that device. So basically, they log forwarding and centralized evidence before it is erased, correlation of multiple vendor feeds, and SOC analyst investigation if that traffic or if that application and process is a false positive, or is it a normal operation, or is it a real threat. So common one of these would be the Wazoo, Stellar Cyber, Greylog, and also Syslog NG. So with that in mind, these are just the bare or the standard that network would have in order to improve their security. But in order to further improve the security of a network infrastructure, they build upon these technologies. So we haven't talked about our WAF, the web application firewalls. There is basically a lot of technologies covering each specific operation or specific layer of the OSI model, of on networks, and how you would defend those networks itself. So what gets ignored? So the awareness gaps. So this is basically a prop, or basically as a cybersecurity practitioner, this is basically one of the hole that someone might encounter, or what is being ignored in our daily infrastructure and network itself in terms of security. So these are advanced problems, and they are also awareness problems. So the 6 common gaps would be, this is just the common. There is a lot of gaps that a security practitioner or cybersecurity practitioner must bear in mind. So so that systems that you are actually protecting is protected is on top against malicious attackers. So common saying is one must know how to attack or how to breach a network in order to fully protect it. So, so it's not just I want to defend, I only want to defend. One must know how to basically break that system, break that network, in order to ensure that security implementations and capabilities are deployed in order to prevent those potential breaches. So that's why a cybersecurity team would have to consist threat hunting or a penetration testing team. So 6 common gaps that some implementation, cybersecurity implementation, this doesn't just fall into a cybersecurity practitioner. This basically falls also on daily lives of a person. So kahit na teacher ka, kahit na you're an IT practitioner, these basically are gaps na commonly not noticed or not known by or pinapabayaan lang. So default credentials. So still on admin out of the box. So basically these are network devices that are you still using default credentials given by the ISP or the provider. So as an example, your home Wi-Fi, which is still the default admin access. So this would also fall in your Facebook accounts, Gmails, and also default credentials also falls into yung isang password ko is also the same password on my multiple accounts. If yung password ko sa Gmail, same din sa password ko sa Facebook, then in itself, I'm showing that I have I have full of vulnerabilities kasi if an attacker knows your single password, kahit sa alam niya lang yung Gmail password mo, he would have access to compromise your Facebook, your Netflix, or any other accounts if you're still using a singular password within those accounts. Next is unpatched system. So this hits close to home. So fix is available but never applied. So unpatched systems, these are common packages or systems that aren't unpatched. Actually, meron kaming nakikita talaga ng mga network infrastructure within our workplace na hindi talaga nila napapatch. Like a PHP version would be very vulnerable. Meron ng maraming attack vectors, attack documentations na nakikita. But in the network itself, it's not being actively patched. So this falls on the common gaps and also what you would consider as a cybersecurity professional. If you want to actually or really secure that network, these are some common gaps that basically you would need to consider. So, a common, if you are nagsusubaybay kayo sa hacking report or news, a recent one would be, a critical recent vulnerability would be the, what was that? The Linux kernel vulnerability. I forgot what that was. But it's very critical kasi isang script na run lang, automatic naka-root access na yung yung attacker or malicious na attacker or malicious na practitioner. So he only needs to be in your local network, and once he has access in your shell, he can escalate and get root access and basically extract data using that vulnerability. So if your systems or application or websites are still using unpatched or basically lower versions of a system or a package like PHP, you as a security standpoint, one should patch those. But the most nakikita ko is yung iba is takot to patch kasi baka masisira yung kanilang operation, which is a logical demand. But when a cybersecurity standpoint itself, that vulnerability shouldn't be left alone and should be informed immediately in utmost criticality. So no multi-factor authentication. So we discussed this. So one password, so protecting everything. So these are layers you would have because defense in depth is a very good practice. Alert fatigue. So too many alerts. This basically falls into a SOC analyst. So as a cybersecurity practitioner, that is also handling SOC. One would be filtering those legitimate alerts so that real threats are shown and also real threats are highlighted in an utmost or much faster reaction time. So within our company, we have TTO or time to own 1 minute of detection of each traffic that goes in or each alert that goes in. So that critical alerts are escalated to the client itself or company. And also meron din kaming mga snipers in order to escalate and prove talaga na yung alert na to na detected within this network is critical and vulnerable for malicious attackers. So we always want to make sure that the client knows and understands the criticality that they are doing on their operation that might or someone will escalate or take that into advantage on the attack vector. So shadow IT, so devices nobody in IT knows about. So actually, nakikita namin ito na meron on a specific network, meron silang switch na hindi pala nila alam na existing. Kaya yung ginawa is ni-reset at saka nilag. So audit every network device, auditing network device and knowing where they are and what they do is a very good practice din because details matter. A very bad situation would be if you want to track down a specific vulnerability and you don't know that a specific device allowed that vulnerability and you didn't also know that that device exists. So basically you have to scope out every network, every operation on what the client do in order to basically improve the security and also secure everything on their network. So lagging disabled. So breach happens, no evidence, no trace. So if ever a breach happens and no lagging is implemented, we have no visibility in the network, we are just a sitting duck. We can't escalate, we can't track down where that vulnerability come from. We also won't be able to isolate a certain network or certain devices if we have no logging. So this is why visibility is very important. And also knowledge about within that network or the operation itself is very important in order to secure all operation of that company or on that client or on your own network. So the practitioner mindset. So this is what separates someone who works in security and for someone who thinks in security. So the mindset would be assume breaches. So this is the paranoid mindset. So don't ask if you'll get attacked, ask what happens when you do. So you don't always wait or you won't put yourself in a situation that you would have to wait that someone will attack your network. The best mindset is to be paranoid or to be one step ahead of those attackers and secure the network of vulnerability that you think is a common breach or that will be an issue or an attack vector in the future. So if your firewall is currently open for port 22 or publicly accessible, as a cybersecurity practitioner, that in itself is you're not practicing security or you're not being paranoid because you are waiting for an attacker to breach your network before you implement the solution. So one must be one step ahead of these attack breaches in order to fully apply the security or the full capability or purpose of having cybersecurity in a network and as a career in itself. So question everything. So why is this port open? Why is this traffic allowed? Why is this server accessible in this network? And why does this need internet access? So what talks to what? So question everything. So this is, you scope out every operation, every normal operation, every process that is existing into that network in order to fully apply a secure security implementations to secure that network so that they can be protected by malicious attackers or further escalation or vulnerabilities. So least privileges, give only what's needed, nothing more ever. If ang client mo or user is only an employee that is only accessing Google Sheet, in not accessing CCTVs, servers, you have to implement least privileges in that company itself. So, babalik dito yung network segmentation or network segmentation on how we design the network itself, kung if sino lang yung pwedeng pumasok o sino lang yung pwedeng mag-access ng ganitong part ng network. So if may file server ka, if sino lang yung pwedeng allowed doon, sila lang din yung i-allow mo to access on that file servers. Also, you would also mandate on the protocols and also ports that they are using. So if they are only allowed to the specific IP within the file server or within the Active Directory or directory na pwede na nilang ma-access, security segmentation within those is very good practice. Because if merong vulnerability or attack that will happen, segmentation will protect those or protect contamination or escalation of that vulnerability or attacker. So defense in depth. So no single tool saves you. Layers do. So you can, one very good model to go through is the OSI model, which is the 7 layers of network or the internet basically itself on how the operation works. So you have the physical layers, the network layer, the data link layer, etc., up to application layer. So you build security within those layers in order to protect network operations. So if meron silang application, you would apply application in layer 7. So you would apply an application layer security. In layer 2, if data link, so that would be switches. So you would apply segmentation in that part because data link basically revolves in switches. So there is basically defense in depth, basically use stack. So we're going back into what I said that networks or companies or security basically builds on each technologies in each layer one after another or basically improves on their capability itself. Kasi marami na talagang application and open source capabilities that are highly available, and yung question na lang is to implement them and security audit them that they ensure that you are secured. Next is paranoia is a feature. So the moment you'll feel safe is the most dangerous moment. Bakit? Kasi kapag feel mo na safe na, nalagyan ko na ng firewall yung network nito, nalagyan ko na ng web application security, nalagyan ko na ng ganito, ganyan, you can't always be assumed that you are already safe. There, done. Tapos na ako, on the next naman. No. That's why we call cybersecurity is dynamic, because every attack vector updates every couple of months, couple of weeks, couple of years. Every vulnerability is existing. So attackers don't sleep. We don't sleep also. So those are the mindset of what we want to do. So even if you are already secured, meron ka ng mga rules na nalagay, meron ka ng firewalls, meron ka ng network segmentation, okay na ako, safe na ako. Those are the dangerous moments where you feel you are safe. That's why we always assume a breach. Kasi we are a cybersecurity practitioner, and our opponents are also dynamically improving themselves. That's why we have to be one step further sa kanila in order to fully secure a network or to fully give the purpose of our career. So that's why paranoia is a very good feature. So if yung mga malicious attacker hindi natutulog, palagi silang naghahanap ng vulnerability, tayo naman, di din tayo natutulog, hanap din tayo ng solution of their vulnerability. Pwede din, hanapin natin yung vulnerability ourselves and also secure natin yung vulnerability before the attacker discovers it. So those are some of the mindsets that cybersecurity practitioners must do. So I hope that lahat kayo has take knowledge or learnings on what I discussed. Kasi this is basically the surface level on what I'm introducing. I'm basically introducing you on what would it take, or what would be the scope or the full domains or full the whole world of cybersecurity lives, because it's not a one-time thing. there are multiple branches and there are multiple capabilities in order to fully implement cybersecurity in an infrastructure or network or in a practice. So it's a very broad and very large na learning, but we are here for the learnings. We are here to protect networks and to prevent malicious attackers doing what they want. So that's why you can't defend what you don't see, and you can't see what you're not looking for. Kasi, so it boils down to the whole topic in itself na you have to be mindful on the whole operation, whole network infrastructure, whole capability na ginagamit ng client or the company itself or on your network in order to ensure that you are protected. So yun yung message of this discussion in itself. So I think we are in the end. So thank you for your attention, and that will close out on the topic of you can't defend what you don't see. Thank you.
All right, very mabigat, no? Thank you so much for that very insightful sharing, Sir Mark. Bale, one key takeaway from the discussion is that in cybersecurity, visibility really matters because we can't defend what we can see. And it's not only about having security tools in place, but also understanding what is happening in the environment. Who is connected, what devices are active, where the traffic is going, and what risk may be hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, so we also learned that strong network security is built in layers, so from firewalls and segmentation to secure remote access, DNS protection, and monitoring. No? But beyond the tools, the biggest lesson is the mindset. Assume that threats can happen, question unusual activity, give only the access that is needed, and always keep learning. So thank you again, Sir Mark, for making the topic practical, clear, and easy to relate to. So, ito na yung pagkakataon for us to engage with our viewers. So, if you have questions, just comment down below your questions. So,
Okay, so ito, one question coming from our viewer, Patrick Sulit. Where is the packet analyzing covered and why?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay. In that 4 domains that you have presented now, sir, where is packet analyzing covered?
So packets would be in the, well, let's say if we go by layer in layer by layer on the LSI model, that would be in the transport layer. So to ano na lang, correct me on this. So packets basically lives on the can you repeat that again? Sorry.
So in the 4 domains that you have discussed earlier, those are sa unang most earliest slide. Yeah, where is packet analyzing covered daw doon sa 4 domains na yun, and packet
Okay.
siya doon. Yes.
So it's the 4 domains under cybersecurity. So an example of the branches that I have explained. So packet analyzing would fall under, actually I think it falls under the first one, the security, offensive security, which is the pen testing. And also it also falls in the blue team. It's very applicable if you're saying packet analyzing as a cybersecurity practitioner in itself. That's why I added branches, because the common trap would be on cyber practitioners that mostly experience. Actually, I experienced this also, is that if I'm a blue team, if I'm a blue team, if I'm a blue team in a blue team company or blue team team, I would only focus on that. So no, when we say packet analyzing, it goes within offensive security, pen testing. You can do Wireshark to analyze packets going in and out of traffic. Blue team would use packet analyzing also in order to ensure the traffic that is going in and out. So an example would be how large the packet that goes in and out of that network. So an alert, similar alert na that I experienced is like a really huge packet na transfer from in the middle of the night, which is a very critical or very question mark na no na process. So the cybersecurity basically has all those skills. So hindi siya na within those domains, a specific domain lang yung magagamit na packet analyzing. Actually, I think everyone under na na-mention ko na domains will have utilized or come through with packet analyzing. Since in network security also, you're also within there. So GRC also within there kasi if one domain is solely focused on their purpose, yung mahirap naman dyan is if hindi nila alam yung on other domains. That's why in cybersecurity, it's very broad. You have to learn a lot in each of the domain itself. Kasi in cybersecurity, we are protecting. So to answer the question, it falls under multiple domains. So it could be utilized differently. It could be utilized very different on each domains, but basically they fall around multiple domains under the cybersecurity branch.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Mark. A very clear explanation. Last na lang tayo, no? Kasi it's already 6 p.m. na rin. So from Jupit Despi, sabi niya, he appreciate you sharing your experience. So we cannot defend what we cannot see. So relative to the topic and your experience, would you have a solution to recommend to an organization in order for them to have full visibility on their hybrid workloads?
All right. So if you are protecting in that specific company, as a cybersecurity practitioner, one critical process would be to be baselining first. So you would gather, if I were to implement security, I would gather their whole operation. I would like to get to know their operation, their network infrastructure, their services. If they are a store, they could have POS. If they are a coffee shop, they could have guest Wi-Fi's. If they are a large company na mayroong mga application, so it revolves around documenting on what that company does, what they do, and what is basically their whole operation in order to fully ensure that all their operations and infrastructures are covered. Kasi mahirap na kapag shadow IT, meron tayong nakaligtaan na process pala. So in a cybersecurity, if mag-i-implement ka ng cybersecurity practice or security in itself sa company na yan, knowing what they do, their operation, and communicating with their network team or their IT engineers is very crucial because that's where you build the security that you would implement within that company. So if meron silang lack na ganito, you would recommend that. You would, sir, implement natin to kasi you are very vulnerable into these specific attacks. So based on our documentation, your version of PHP package is very vulnerable. So the very important part is knowing what that company does and what you want to offer in order to revolve around what you want to offer. And also to continuously improve their security. Hindi lang kasi one time okay na. So, if meron mga bagong vulnerabilities, you would have to implement agad na hindi sila maatakihan. So, we could say that pwede hindi sila atakihin ng attacker, but that's the mindset na natapos when we are feeling safe, that is the most dangerous part. So, we can't always assume. We assume na magbe-breach talaga siya. So, let's say that company merong na-hack sa other country. Na-hack sila using this specific na package. Tapos yung company na pinoprotektahan mo is also using that package. you eliminate the thought na dahil yung attacker is from the outside, hindi naman siguro nila alam, maliit lang naman yung company ko, hindi ko na i-apply. That is a very bad practice because we are always paranoid. We assume that my company will be breached and I want to protect it from that breach. So that is the very good practice. We are not there to be sitting ducks na atakihin tayo agad. Atakihin tayo, doon na tayo mag-implement ng solution. No. Implement tayo ng solution before tayo ma-atakihan because of that vulnerability. So in order to answer your question on how I apply, baselining is basically baselining documentation, having a good communication with their IT of that company is a very good practice. And also, details matter. Kasi if you're not communicating properly sa company na yon, your security, then in itself, you are lacking as a crucial mindset, a crucial aspect of being cybersecurity in order to implement a security, effective security sa company na yun. So baselining is very important, documentation is very important, communication within the IT, within that company or IT or where you are implementing is very important, and knowing how their operation works, it will help you in designing and implementing security technologies or to improve their security postures. So, yun, sana na sabi.
All right. Thank you, Sir Mark, for that very clear, pakagandang sagot. So, I think we are already done since past 6 na din. What can you say, Miss Colleen?
Ayan, okay. So thank you everyone for joining us in today's webinar. And we hope you found valuable insights into network security and yung importance, syempre, ng visibility in protecting our systems. So remember, you can't defend what you can see.
Yeah.
So stay vigilant and keep learning.
Yes, so have a good weekend. Pero sa amin, meron kaming tagline for that.
Happy lang, walang
Happy
weekend.
lang, pero
Walang
walang weekend.
Walang weekend.
Banat!
Banat.